everybody, and welcome to the Lovebird Lane podcast. I'm back in my usual spot. I have my ring light in front of me because it is very dark today, so hopefully it's not making me too overexposed. I guess I can fix that when I'm editing. Marion is in full voice this morning. She has not been outside for days because it has been cold and windy. Although yesterday wasn't too bad. It was very windy, but it was relatively warm. She doesn't really like the wind, so I've been keeping her inside. She's not very happy about it. Granger is moping around all the time as well. We've still managed to get out for a walk every day. We went out this morning. It's getting very cloudy now. It's going to rain this afternoon, so I'm hoping I can get this recorded and done before the rain starts and we start having noise from the rain as well as the bird. Hopefully Granger won't come out clip-clopping on the floor. But yeah, I am here. I am good. I inadvertently missed 2 weeks. I am sorry about that. The first week I actually had my friend Monica from Ashenoke Yarn. She came round for the afternoon, so I didn't manage to get the podcast done before she arrived because I was too busy cleaning my house. So yeah, Monica came around the Friday before last, and then last week I just wasn't feeling it, and you guys know I don't like to record a podcast if I'm not really feeling at full bubbliness, I suppose, because, you know, I don't like to be boring and bore you guys. And of course it wouldn't be a true Lovebird Lane podcast episode if we didn't have technical difficulties, which I have just dealt with. My memory card was full, even though it only had half the amount of space used, supposedly. So I've just been away and I'm back, and hopefully everything will work now. So I think I was just talking about the weather before, so nothing very important. Yeah, so last week just wasn't feeling it. Week before I saw Monica, and yeah, today I am here. I've had a pretty good week. I had a great day at the dye pots the other day. If you follow me on Instagram, which I say every episode, you will have seen what is going to be in the update this week, and I was really thrilled with it. Everything pretty much came out exactly how I was hoping it would, so that's always encouraging. But yeah, other than that, not much is really happening. I'm still mostly staying at home, which is not that different from when it's not COVID times. I do spend a lot of time at home. It's Friday, which means the boys will be home from tonight. I guess maybe I should get on with some knitting. That's probably would be a good plan, because I do have quite a bit to talk about, obviously, because I haven't done one of these for a couple of weeks. I have 4 finished objects, would you believe? And I have a few, probably, what, three works in progress, I think. So I will get on with what I have finished. First up, I have a couple of hats. This is the first one. So this is just a very basic beanie. I have been wearing the crap out of it. That's why it looks like it's maybe a little bit stretched. But yes, this is called the Erie Hat. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, which has had a makeover, actually, I've noticed yesterday. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go over to Ravelry and see the difference. But yes, this is just a basic ribbed beanie, which you can see there. This is my own hand-dyed yarn. This is my colorway Penny, and it is on I think it is my Merino DK. It wasn't labeled, I just found it and dyed it up. So yeah, this is Merino DK in Penny, and I'll try it on for you because obviously, because I've shaved my head again, my head is getting a little bit cold in these cool days. So yes, this is just a very slouchy beanie. And yeah, I've been wearing it a lot. I prefer slouchy beanies. I don't like really close beanies. So I used to wear a lot of berets, but I've kind of moved past the beret part of my life, I guess. So I'm now into slouchy beanies. So I've been wearing a lot of hats. I've been wearing my sparkling cider hats so much that I had to wash them. They only finally got dry yesterday after being hung up for 4 days or something. It's been so cold that just nothing is drying, and I've been having issues with my washing machine. If you've followed for a long time, you know that I spin all my yarn and everything in my washing machine, and because I changed my delicates bag, because my old delicates bag broke, so I changed it to a different one that's more compact, and it was actually unbalancing my front loader washing machine. So I haven't been able to spin anything because it just goes straight to unbalanced as soon as I try. But I have purchased 2 more bags so that I can sort of distribute the load a little bit more, and I spun out this week's update yarn with those 3 bags, and it worked a treat. So I think I found a solution. But anyway, all that to say, this hat, well no, this other hat that I'm going to show you, and my sparkling cider hats were not spun, did not get spun out, so they took forever to dry, along with 2 of Granger's sweaters, because yeah, he's been wearing his sweaters almost non-stop, and yeah, they're getting a little bit manky, so as you can imagine. So 2 of those got a wash, and his newest one that I showed off a couple of weeks ago will go into the wash now that those other 2 are finally dry. This is the Erie hat. Like I said, it is a free pattern, and yeah, I can see myself making more of these because it's like it fits really well because of the ribbing, and it's super easy. Even though I don't really like ribbing. Ribbing is not my thing. I liked the look of the hat. I thought the hat looked really nice. You'll have seen it come in on this side. The original was done in black, and so I'm thinking I might dye up some Starless on a DK, which is my shaded black colour, and knit myself another one, because yeah, this is getting a lot of wear. This colour, although it is beautiful, doesn't go with a whole ton of my wardrobe at this point in time, because I do have a lot more blues and things, even though it's like a pinky colour, goes with blue, why not? Picks up some of the flowers in my top. But yeah, this has been getting a lot of wear, as I said, I think 3 times now. And yeah, super simple, free pattern. Check it out if you like it. So I will take this one off because I have another one coming up. Okay, and this one I believe is another free pattern. I can't imagine that I paid for it. But it is the Tied Knots pattern by JUSTYNA LORKOWSKA on Ravelry again, and this one is made from some amazing yarn, and I've got more of it to show you today. This is from Spotlight, would you believe? I am not a yarn snob by any means. I don't know if you can see all the little bits of wool that have come out then. From Spotlight, and I don't usually shop for yarn at Spotlight because a lot of their yarns are very high in like polyesters and polyamides and not polyester, acrylic, that's the word. And I just don't do a lot of plastic yarn. I don't mind just a little bit reinforcing in some sock yarn or something, but I just don't ever work with you know, acrylic yarns and things like that if I can help it. So I was shopping on Spotlight, and they had a, I don't think it's still available, but they had a $40 off coupon if you spent $100. So I was getting some cross-stitch stuff because I've been doing a lot of cross-stitch of late. Not that I have anything to show you because I haven't done anything the last couple of weeks, but I have been doing, prior to that, I have been doing a lot of cross-stitch. So I was ordering things like lap frames and hoops and things like that, some more bobbins, and I was just under that $100 mark. So I looked for some yarn. I found this yarn on there, and I just threw in a couple of balls so that I could make up my order total and get my $40 off. So I paid $60 for $100 worth of stuff. But yeah, so I decided to make this hat. The label, so this was a whole comedy of errors as well. The label said 175 meters per 50 gram ball. So I thought, okay, well, that's probably more of a sport weight kind of yarn. So working off that, I found this pattern, which I can't remember, I think it's DK. So sport and DK are fairly similar. So this one was written as DK, and I'm knitting away, and I'm like, I seem to be going through this yarn a lot quicker than I would have expected if it's got 175 meters per ball. And this hat was supposed to use, I think, 210 yards, I think is what it said. But so I'm knitting away. I go onto my second ball and get to like here, and I ran out of yarn. So I had to order another ball, which I used 7 grams of out of a 50-gram ball. So, you know, yay, I've got like 43 grams of yarn. But what I have figured out is that the website said it had 100 meters per ball. So I purchased it on 100 meters per ball. But then the label said 175 meters. So I was like, oh, cool, there's extra yardage, you know, because it doesn't say what weight it is. It doesn't say 4-ply, 8-ply, 10-ply, nothing like that. Just gives you the meterage, which is not the meterage. I think the label lied. I haven't done anything like put it onto my skein winder or anything like that and count wraps or anything like that. But I can definitely say that this is probably a worsted weight. It is not a sport weight. And I would say from my experience knitting this hat, it is closer to the 100 meters per ball mark, not the 175. But I do have to say, for a yarn from Spotlight, or a yarn from anywhere really, it is gorgeous. This is the Keepsake yarn. I'll pick up the other ball that I'm working with. So it's Keepsake is what it's called. It is South American fibre. It is from Spotlight, as I said. So that's something I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But it's beautiful. It almost has, you probably won't be able to see it, you know, just by looking at the yarn, but it almost has a partially felted kind of feel to it. Like it's so soft, like it is so like next to the skin soft, and has this really puffy, almost felted feel to it. It's probably woolen spun, I would imagine. That's why it's so airy and lofty and puffy and squishy. But I just fell in love with this yarn so much. Like, for something from Spotlight, I was absolutely blown away. So if you can get your hands on it, my local Spotlight up at Melrose Park is my local, and another friend of mine works at the Mount Barker Spotlight, and neither of them had any of this in stock. So I don't know if you'll get hold of it. I managed to get my 3rd ball of this plus the next lot for that other whip that I'm going to talk about. That came from Manapara, I believe. So if you are further up north in Adelaide, you might be able to go to Manapara and grab some. But yeah, it is just beautiful. Like, it made, like, the cables have come out just wonderful. It's just beautiful to work with. It's really, really lovely. I'm like completely enamored with it, and I just want to buy all of it. And I managed to get the 3rd ball that I needed for this, plus for the other project. They had a sale on, so I actually got it like 20-30% off or something from the normal price. So I will try this on in a minute, but I tried something different for the closing of the end of the hat, because the pattern does say the usual to cut the yarn, thread it through the leftover stitches and pull it tight, which is what I did with my other hat. But that one has left a bit of a hole, which I'm not loving, because usually when I finish my hats in that way, I do a knot just to make sure that, because, you know, if you just weave in your ends, you probably eventually the hole's just going to like get bigger. So I always put in a knot just so I can try and keep that nice and secure. But that one for some reason has sort of gotten bigger, and I don't know why. It's not getting any bigger, it just got a little bigger. So I was watching, I think, the last episode of the Homespun House podcast before Molly moved back to Germany. And she was saying on there that she was kitchening the tops of her hats now. So I thought, all right, well, I'll give that a go. It doesn't look fantastic because obviously there's ribbing in there because it is cabled, and, you know, you go from a purl to a knit stitch. And it kind of has left a little bit of like this flat kind of bowed top to it. But I figure if I wear it kind of with like the flat horizontal to my head rather than up and down, it'll just slouch and you just won't see it. And yeah, so this is actually the first time I've tried this hat on. Well, I mean, I did try it on after I knit it, but it was very tight and it just needed, you know, cables need that little bit of blocking just to relax. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way it's slouching. I really like this. It's a beautiful color. This one is, I believe these are all just sort of mostly natural colors because they are all organic yarn. It's organic, and not that that's something that I necessarily search for. It just happened to be what the yarn was, because like I said, I found this yarn by just randomly throwing something that wasn't a plastic yarn into my cart to make up the value. And yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. So I really enjoy this yarn. It's really lovely, which is hence why I purchased a sweater quantity of it, which I will talk about when I get to my works in progress. But for now, perhaps I will move on to the next finished object. And I might keep my hat on because my head is nice and warm now. All right, so you guys will recognize this. This is my Briochehugeness Showl. And this is a brioche cowl shawl. So you can see here it is connected at the back. So it is like a cowl, but it sits at the front like a shawl. I've already showed this off on the podcast while it was still a work in progress, but it is now finished. So I can't remember, I gave it a wash. I didn't severely block it because the pattern kind of suggests to really pull these out and make this side a little bit more wobbly, but I didn't bother with that. I just gave it a wash so that it would relax and just held it, pushed it into shape on a towel. I will throw it on. So there we go. You can kind of see that there. So it's very, I believe the pattern called for a sport weight. This is fingering weight. This is my yarn. Again, this is my singles base and it is in Night Court and Wilted. So Night Court is the grey and Wilted is the pink. And I'm really happy with it. It is really nice. I love the fact that it has such a large section at the back here. So I have done some other shawl cowl type things, and they often just have the bulk of the knitting at the front with a very thin strip at the back. But for warmth purposes, it is actually really, really nice to have this big block of knitting sitting on the back of your neck. Plus, as it's brioche, it is so squishy, and yeah, I love brioche. I really, really do. And I am still going to be working on that tutorial. I copied the files off my card, which is probably what was taking up all the space when I had my technical difficulties earlier, was my brioche tutorial videos. So I do need to get to those. While I was trying to copy them off, my husband's computer crashed, and I use his computer to do all of my editing. So this podcast might actually be later than I was expecting, but you're watching it now, so that's all that matters. The tutorial is still coming. I have not forgot it. Forgotten it, which is probably better grammar. But yeah, this is my Briochehugeness, and I really, really love it. And the pattern, I got this for free because it was during the very early times of its release. But I believe it's only very cheap. I think it's only about $1.50 or something for the pattern. It's really super cheap. So if you are a brioche knitter or you would like to learn, definitely give this one a go because it is very simple. It's very, very simple. It's basically just brioche on the bias, seam up the end, and you've got this amazing cowl. So, and if you want to learn from my tutorial, hang in there. I will get there. But that is my Briochehugeness Showl. And finally, I have the piece de la resistance, and it is my sew faded sweater. It is finished. Yay! And I'm so excited. I have been hammering this pretty much since the weekend. I was already halfway through one sleeve. You would have seen that, but I have a whole sleeve. I have a whole second sleeve, and I have a collar. So my sweater is done. Yay! I will lean back a little bit, see if you can see all of the sweater. So you guys have seen this quite a few times, but if you are new to the podcast, I will go through what I have worked this out of. So this is the Sew Faded sweater, which is a pattern by ANDREA MOWRY. If you don't know what this sweater is, then you must have been living under a rock. I've been meaning to knit it for a very long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And then I was dyeing up some yarn. I saw the yarn in the shop in my containers sitting over there for my shop stock, and I just went, that would make an amazing Sew Faded. So that's what I decided to do. So these again are all my own yarns. And I'll show you from the back because then you get a little bit bigger slice of Solstice. So Solstice is this first one here, this grey with sort of black and brown speckles. Moves on to Wilted here, onto Flushed, Night Court, and Intangible. So those are all my colours. They are all different types of yarn. I've got Merino sock in there, I've got Sparkle, I've got BFL sock, and I've just worked them all together, and I think it worked out pretty well. And I have not worn this yet. I was a bit concerned about the sleeves because they seemed like they went very, very narrow very, very quickly. The other night, because like I said, I haven't tried this on yet, but the other night I did throw my arm through the sleeve and it fits perfectly down on, because I thought it would be too tight down on my wrists, but no, it fits perfectly. So this hasn't had a block yet. It does need a block, obviously because the back of my collar keeps falling backwards. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. The pattern, as always, Andrea Mowry's patterns are always well written. And yeah, I'm really, really happy that I have this amazing sweater knit out of my own hand-dyed yarn, and it's so exciting. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's thrilling to have this done. And I will give it a block now that I put it on the podcast. I didn't want to give it a block and have it not dry by the time I wanted to talk about it here. So this can now go for a wash and a block, and I'll be able to wear my new sweater. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. I'm going to share some photos on Instagram later today of this finished sweater. So you probably will have already seen that before you see this podcast, but yeah, all done. All right, let's get on to some works in progress. So the first one I'm going to talk about is my Husbeast sweater. It is getting worked on. I have a whole back. Yay, look at that. So I have 2 sleeves and I have a back piece. So Simon will be getting his sweater in not too distant future. Which I'm really pleased about because I cast on another sweater for myself. So I'm going to have to be working that while trying to get Simon's finished. So yes, I finished the back probably last weekend, and I did cast on for the front. So you don't really need to see any more of the back, it's just the back piece. And I am already almost to, I don't want to drop any stitches. I am already almost to the underarm section. I think I have maybe 3 or 4 more repeats of the cable pattern to do before I get to casting off for the sleeve. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I'm still trucking along. Like I said last time I discussed this, it is a little bit taxing on my hands because of those cables and the ribbing around the cables. And you guys know I've got long-standing issues with RSI and overwork in my arms and shoulders. So yeah, I am still working on this as I can. I'm trying to work on it more than I'm working on my new sweater cast on that I started yesterday. So I'm hoping to work on this more so I can get this finished for Simon. And this yarn is from Bendigo Woolen Mills, and it is their Bendigo Tweed in the dark plum colorway. So it's really, really lovely. He picked this color. It's very much a sort of charcoaly purple. It's my giant cake that because I caked it up because I don't love donut sort of shaped balls of yarn because I find they collapse quite quickly. So I just did, wound it up on my jumbo ball winder, and yeah, so I'm just knitting away on this. I did most of this piece on like 2 days of the weekend. So I finished the back piece, immediately cast this piece on, and I did all of this last weekend. So if I keep working on it, I should be able to have the pieces all finished maybe by next week. There goes my phone. That's probably Simon on the phone. He's probably had burning ears. But yeah, so hopefully I'll have the pieces finished within the next week or so, and I can start to seam it together and get that neckband done because it's a shawl collar cardigan. I didn't say what it was. It's the Hey Handsome cardigan. You probably will have seen the doobly-doo on the side. But yeah, hopefully he will have a cardigan in the not too distant future. and he keeps asking me what it is that I'm knitting, and it's like, I've shown you a photo, I've described what I'm doing, and he keeps asking me. So yes, it's a shawl collar cardigan because as I've spoken about before on the podcast, I'm quite partial to a man in a shawl collar cardigan. So my man himself will have one, and you know, I'm sure it'll just make him that much more attractive to me. But yeah, I'm really pleased to finally, after being together for, you know, 10 plus years, that I'm finally going to have knit him a garment after wearing him down over those 10 plus years, to have him actually accept a knitted something from me. But yeah, I am working on that and I'm excited to have that finished. So I will obviously keep you posted. And I have been working on a sock. Not a sock that you have seen. This is a new sock, and I dyed up this yarn. It is very orange. Hopefully it is coming through on the camera fine. My iPhone seems to have a little bit of a problem photographing it and getting all the shifts in color. But I put out a call, I think, on Instagram asking if anybody had any requests for the shop update. And I had one of my followers send me a message and say, I'm looking for a peachy orangey pink, and, well, pinky orange, I think it was more. She goes, I want to match this yarn here. You know, I need a tonal to match this variegated yarn. So I thought, okay, so I was meaning more, do you have any of my regular colorways that you want me to dye up and put into the shop this week? But she requested a new one, so of course I obliged. And I created Just Peachy, which is this colorway, and I could not resist casting on a pair of socks for myself in this colorway. So if you've been following for a while, you know that green is not my jam, orange is not my jam, yellow is not my jam. But when I created this colorway, I fell in love with it. I cannot resist it. I think the fact is that it's got a good amount of pink in it, and it's enough for me to like it, I guess. So I don't know how well this is. Oh yes, it'll probably be coming out just fine. You can see the shifts of color in there, that there's, you know, all the different layers that I use to create it. There's pinks, there's orange, there's yellow, there's peach, and that is, I think, because it's so bright, it makes it very hard to photograph. So I have one finished sock, obviously, as you can see, and I have cast on my second sock. I haven't got too far because I have been working on Simon's sweater mostly. But yeah, I have been working on this sock, and I think I've gotten further away from the camera. But yeah, I love this colorway, and I didn't really know what to call it, and I was thinking about calling it Peachy Keen, but then I'm like, I don't really like the word keen. So yes, Just Peachy it is. So I'm loving this color. It is just brightening my day every time I pull it out, and I will hopefully have another pair of socks soon. And the funny thing is this has kind of proven to me that I don't hate all colors, and there is a way of making colors to my liking. So I am really inspired by that to start creating other, you know, tonals of colors that I don't really necessarily naturally gravitate to, and making them in tones that I do enjoy. And I did do some dyeing the other week, and you probably saw that too. I'll just grab the skein so I can show you. So I created this colorway a couple of weeks ago, and yes, it is green. So this is minty, and as you can probably see, there's shades of yellow green, there's shades of aqua green, there's shades of blue in there. So I've like created a bit of fluff on the skein. So I've created a green that I actually do really like because of those big splotches of blue in them. So I'm probably going to turn this into a pair of socks as well. And I'm just going to, I think I was kind of inspired by Molly of a Homespun House once again. She is going through a stage of knitting herself a bunch of tonal socks. So yeah, I am going to be turning this into a pair of socks, plus I have my Just Peachy socks. So orange is not my jam, green is not my jam, but I am loving these versions of the colors, which yeah, it just makes me inspired to create my versions of these colors that you know, work for me. So yeah, I guess I should get on to the final work in progress, which I've already kind of shown you, and I will have a chat about that now. Whoops, and I've lost a bunch of stitches as usual. Why not? Okay, so this is a sweater. It is very hard to see. It is only its beginning sort of stages. As I said earlier, I only cast it on yesterday, but it is a raglan sweater, a very interesting construction raglan sweater, I must say. And as I said, that is in the keepsake yarn. So this, the other colorway I used for my hat, it's not over there, it's actually on my head. This is Swiss brown, and this one is charcoal. So you can see there it's Ecotech standard organic yarn, and it's lovely. It's so lovely. But yeah, I have cast on this sweater. It is called the Autumn League sweater. So this is a partially paid pattern, partially free pattern. You can get the pattern for free on the lady's website. I'm blanking on her name right at this point in time, but it will have been on the card on the side. So you can get it for free from her website, which is obviously full of ads and things like that. I copied it off and put it into a Word document so it's easy for me to read. And it is also available as a PDF for $3.50 American. So I'm trying to be frugal, so I went for the free the free version. But yeah, it is a top-down raglan, which then once you get to like once you finish the raglan increases and you get to a certain point in the bust section, you actually split it and knit the front and back separately. And then it has like a split hem on the bottom, so you start seaming from just above the ribbing, and then you seam, I believe the way it works, it was very unusual to me anyway, because it's almost like it's knit as a drop shoulder pattern, but it is a raglan jumper. But I believe you do this whole top shoulder bust section, split it in half, do the front and back separately, then pick up and knit the sleeves out, and then you seam up the side and along the sleeve. So yeah, I'm not anywhere near all that yet. I am still doing my raglan increases. Obviously, I am I am not that far down. It has this really cool sort of what do you call it, motif, I suppose, at the front here, just by using some left and right crosses to create kind of like that, you know, some athletic sort of pullovers do have that little V at the collar. So it's kind of just using some little twisted stitches to give that kind of look on the front. And yeah, I'm just, at this point, I'm just working away, doing my increases. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. As you can see, I did all of this yesterday afternoon after I finished work. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The yarn, as I've said a million times in this podcast, is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really enjoying working with it. And I'm probably not going to want this sweater to ever end. And the other cool thing about this yarn is it's non-superwash as well. So I am able to do felted joins when I need to add another ball, which is fantastic because it means that there's less ends for me to have to weave in. But that is it. That is all I have to talk about today. I haven't done any more on my blanket, even though I do really want to get that blanket done. I might try and get Simon's sweater done before I start working on the blanket a bit more in earnest, because I do want to cast on the Celine blanket, the lovely Phases of the Moon blanket that I have shown you guys before. I still haven't checked the gauge on that swatch either, would you believe? But yeah, that is kind of where I'm at the moment. I did do a little bit of sewing. I did sew myself a nightie, but I have been wearing it. So it is in the bedroom looking very crumpled and it has been slept in. So I'm not going to bother bringing that out to show you. But other than that, I've just been working away on the yarn clubs. The next installment of the yarn club should be going out on Monday. So I'm really excited about it because I've created these project bags that are just adorable, and I really hope that all of you who are part of the yarn club do enjoy those bags. I had a lot of fun designing those and making them. So I just need to put the finishing touches on those, get the parcels packed up and get those sent out. And yeah, that's kind of where things are at the moment. As you can see, I have a computer behind me now, so I have been doing a lot of my admin work out here at my sewing desk with my computer. It's an old iMac. It's a little bit clunky, but it does the job. But yeah, things are going well here. Everybody is healthy. Marion is loud as usual. But yeah, I think I will get on to trying to troubleshoot my husband's computer and see if I can get that up and running so that I can edit this podcast and get it up for you all. So I will leave it there. I really do hope that you are all keeping well and taking care of yourselves, and I would like to wish you happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will catch you on the next one.